Hey there, Offgoers, Muse here, and this week's episode of the Going Off podcast features a Patreon-requested album review. If there's an album you want reviewed on the podcast, pledge $40 to either patreon.com/rapcritic or patreon.com/muse.
Dirty reviews, done dirt cheap. It's the Goin Off podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. Sorry, I had to make that reference. I'm so sorry. It didn't even fit.
It didn't, and I'm sure people would argue that our $40 is not dirt cheap. But, you know.
Done relatively cheap.
This week on the Going Off podcast, we're joined again by the birthday boy, Rav. Happy birthday.
Hey, hello there, how you doing?
What? Wait, now I remember what my quote was going to be.
What was it gonna be?
No, check it out.
That you had big balls, was that it?
No, it wasn't. Scrap that whole thing. This is the quote now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Buying our own Halloween candy because we're fucking adults. It's the Going Off podcast with Rap Critic and Muse. You can't tell me. So, like, literally, we were driving home. And, like, you know, we had just, you know, bought some chocolate or whatever. And we're driving home and we're looking over, you know, to the side. You're seeing all these kids walking by, you know, to their little begging for candy, little routine, you know. And I'm just like, wow. I can just buy my shit, and it doesn't have to be like a grab bag of whatever old lady, you know, thinks that I should get, like, fucking pennies or some shit. No, I can just get some, like, salted caramel chocolate, and that's just my fucking choice. Like, being an adult is awesome.
But you gotta pay for it, though.
Yeah, I know, but at least it's what you want. Dude, how many times as a kid was it like, oh, like, for me, I wanted Butterfingers and fucking Reese's. I don't give a shit about Starburst. I don't give a shit about fucking any of those candies, like Skittles. Fuck all those fruit-flavored candies. If I want fruit, I'll just eat fucking fruit. Give me chocolate, goddammit.
I'm really happy that for once I'm not here with the controversial opinions. I'm just enjoying, like, being in the background now.
I was all about the fruit flavored candies, the Skittles, the Smarties, the Sweet Tarts, the Shockers. Do you remember Shockers?
Oh, no, sir. Sir.
All the fucking sour.
Bro, cherry heads. They're like, what, 10 cents at the gas station? Hell yeah.
What are those?
They're like lemon heads, but cherry.
What, cherry?
Yeah.
No, the only flavored shit I would get was Jolly Ranchers. I fuck with Jolly Ranchers.
All right, yeah.
Heavy.
Yeah.
I hate the cherry candy flavor.
Me too, usually. But that one, the cherry heads, oh man, they're amazing. I don't care what you say.
It reminds me too much of medicine as a kid. Like the cherry
flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't eat grape or cherry flavored candies because it reminds me too much of like fucking Robitussin.
I wonder why that was. Why did they use grape and cherry the most for those types of things?
And they're not even close to the actual flavors.
No!
So it's like...
Was it just the easiest to the cheapest to make, you know?
Maybe. It was a shitty representation, though. And it really fucked up my worldview, because now I can't deal with candy that tastes even remotely close to it.
The things that we eat that are really unhealthy, a lot of them are like sweets, right? But a lot of those sweets are supposed to be representative of the flavor of the thing that it would probably be better to eat. Like, it would be a much better idea to eat actual strawberries than it would be to eat, you know, a Jolly Rancher, a strawberry-flavored Jolly Rancher, you know?
But you can't keep strawberries in, like, your pocket in transit, you know what I'm saying?
That's true.
Yeah.
If you could, like, make them small and then, like, make them regrow in your hand like some sort of Pokeball type of deal, then that would be cool. Because I think that's one of the major drawbacks of real fruit. You can't really stuff them in your pockets, and if you do, it's just, you know, not a good time.
I think what people were trying to go for was like Pop-Tarts, like it's a fruit filling, you know? Because if you got the Pop-Tarts, you got two of them, you got two toaster pastries, and a little aluminum foil pouch. Should be easy enough to tote around, carry around. Do you guys remember in the late 90s, early 2000s when they made, like, Pop-Tart sticks? And they were just, like, basically Pop-Tarts, but in thirds?
And so basically it was just a lot more, you know, of the fucking, the pastry part and not enough of the strawberry part?
Yeah, it was a lot more pastry and a lot more packaging. and not as much of the fucking fruit filling. I remember they tried to make already portable things somehow even more portable there for a while, because if you've got a little cup of pudding or yogurt, that should be fine. But then they're like, no, Go-gurt. You put it in a tube.
Yeah.
It's like, I can already eat it as is. This is not inconvenient. It's fine.
It's not even that easy to do that. Like, to have a Go-gurt thing, like, do you really walk down the street with, like, a Go-gurt thing? You know? You are usually, like, standing still, at which point, like, just eat it with the normal way anyway, you know?
I'm on the block all the time with a Go-gurt in my mouth. You tripping.
You walk down the street, you're skateboarding with a fucking Go-gurt in your hand.
Yeah. No, I have the blunt in the mouth, and then when the cops, like, arrive, I just swap it around with a Go-gurt.
See, what you do is, you need to...
You cover it up with a Go-gurt packaging.
Exactly! That's it!
Yeah, of course.
You just cover it with the sleeve. There you go.
Only problem is it'll still burn through it, so it's like...
Oh, damn it.
But we're onto something here, for sure.
We wanted to have Rev on this week, aside from the fact that we haven't had him on in, like, over, like, half a year, and it's been way too long, is that you've got stuff. You've got the physical...
Viagra.
You got the physical copies of the Beneath the Toxic Jungle, the album we reviewed, oh my god, almost 2 years ago?
They sold out a couple days ago. Sorry.
Oh, they did? Okay.
Yeah. But it's okay. I'm planning to restock, if not in CDs, in terms of CDs, definitely cassettes at least, or something. I don't know. I want to start getting more into merch, because that's something I haven't really played around with before.
Yeah. And you've also got the EP. On Bandcamp, the EP Volume 6.
Yes, B-Sides Volume 6. Oh, and Beneath the Toxic Jungle. Did you say available on Spotify?
I didn't know it was on Spotify.
It's available on Spotify, shit. And I think Tidal, but I haven't checked. So.
Jeez. That is big news.
Yeah, so there's that. So hopefully that's a good thing. I don't know. I did it because I was told that it's a good idea to do so.
I think it would be beneficial.
Yeah, because some people, that's how they find music these days, you know? So I totally get that. I just don't really know how all of it really works, because I don't really have a Spotify. But at least I'm on Spotify now, so that's cool.
Have you heard the name of Maroon 5's new album?
Oh, yeah, I heard. It's called, like, Red Pill something.
Yeah, they named their album Red Pill Blues. They were just trying to make a cute Matrix reference, but they didn't realize what red pilling meant in today's society.
And fucking assholes ruin everything. And it's funny because, like, oh man, taking the red pill. Yeah, inspired by that movie that was written by, well, at this point, 2 trans women.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the story was taken from a black woman, actually.
Oh.
So...
I think it's so sad how this article ends. Well, it's too late to go back now. Red Pill Blues is due out this Friday. So even if they wanted to rename it, they couldn't.
Shit.
Oh, fuck.
So now they're just stuck with it, yeah.
I hope they don't have any songs about, like, heartbreak, and it's like, oh man, I'll never fall in love again. It's like, yeah, Emory anthem.
Oh no.
Like, no.
Everything's gonna be taken out of context now. Someone commented in the comment section of our last video, which, by the way, we didn't even address that the podcast is on your channel now. That was a decision made in the 11th hour last week, so we didn't even mention it on last week's show, but yeah, the podcast is going to be on Rap Critic's channel from this point going forward. Someone left a comment saying that Eminem originally had more verses planned for the song Stan.
Yeah, how many more verses could you have? There's like 4.
There were going to be 2 more.
Was it going to be from the perspective of like the mom or some shit? Like,
no. So what happened was, so Stan, he lives the attempted suicide, and he's in the hospital, and he's writing Eminem, wondering why he isn't writing him a get well soon card.
Okay, that would be too much.
And then in the final verse, Eminem is at home and Stan breaks into his house and Eminem has to kill him.
Who's the source for this?
Yeah.
Eminem said it himself. You could find audio of him saying it in a radio interview on YouTube.
Man,
He's got to be kidding, right?
I don't think so.
I mean, like that sounds like a joke. That sounds like someone like an Onion type of article. What if there were like 6 more verses? He's just like really embarrassed and he's just trying to incrementally let us in.
No, it would be hilarious if there's like an alternate universe where like this is what he originally intended, and like people just listening to it is like, oh my god, thank God somebody got in your ear and made sure you didn't release that shit, because it would have ruined the whole like point. It's like, because the point is like, oh my god, he did this, he was inspired to do this horrible thing, and then he died, and then, you know, here comes Eminem, doesn't realize that it's already happened. The dramatic irony is that he's writing to someone who's already dead. That's what's enjoyable about it. But for it to be like, imagine like the song ended, damn, and then you hear the
yeah,
and then, all right, well, here I am in the hospital, Em, and you still haven't written me. Like, it just would have been like, what? Is it still happening?
You still ain't writing to me, asshole.
You did, you son of a bitch.
The next verse, I'm out of the hospital now, and guess what? Whoop-a-doo, no letters from Eminem.
Dude, that would have been so dumb. And it would have ruined the part 2.
No, that'd have been great. Like, recovery's out and you still ain't written anything. That's weird.
What the fuck, Em?
Like, it just goes on forever, like, trapped
It's
in
just
the closet.
an ongoing TV series, yeah.
The first episode, the fucking pilot, ends with him going, damn. And then everything else is just going on from there.
It's like, wait, there was more that you had to write for this shit? Like, pull the plug, bro.
Hey, Em, it's my birthday, and I still haven't heard back.
It's 2017, and for some reason, I'm still writing you letters.
Do you remember how Mr. Belvedere always ended with him writing in his journal about, like, the story that happened? I just picture the same thing about, like... Every episode ends with Eminem just going, hey, I was watching the news and there was this guy who was mad that he didn't get a birthday letter and his name was, oh, it was you.
Like every episode.
He realizes, oh shit, it was you. Damn, every episode.
Yeah, like a recurring type of deal.
It's like, holy shit, dude, maybe I should just write him back. This would save us both a lot of trouble.
But then, yeah, the twist is that M has Alzheimer's. That's the twist.
No, it's like, just give me your goddamn phone number, for fuck's sake. Just be like, yo, I will give you a burner phone number. You can call me, you know, and you're like, yo, it's me, Eminem. All right, fuck off. Don't call me anymore.
Yeah.
Because I wonder, after, like, would the first phone call be enough? Like, do you think it'd be like, whew, finally got to talk to Eminem, that was great. And then you call him back, it's like, he's not answering. Bad, well, you know, at least I got to talk to him the one time. Or is Stan expecting a fucking thing every single time?
Like a friendship. Like, what? I thought we were cool.
Because he wasn't that off the deep end in the first verse, you know? He was just like, hey, you know, big fan... You know?
Wait, how does he start the verse? He says, hey, Em, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling? I left my home phone. Oh, yeah, he gave him his phone number, but I think in the music video, you see that, like, his letter fell out of the carrier thing or whatever.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I can't be expected to know what happened in the music video. If you meant that to be canon, you gotta put it in the song.
But then he wrote 2 letters back in autumn. He said, you must not have got him. There probably was a problem at the post office or something. It's like, Jesus Christ, like, are you not writing? You know what I think it is? I think this motherfucker just, like, wrote the address wrong. Like right before he's like, oh, okay, I'm almost at the bridge now. Oh, shit, that was supposed to be a 0, not an 8.
That'd be a twist. Yeah, that'd be a good twist. Like, he's in the hospital. That's the next verse. He's in the hospital telling his mom, like, how mad he is that he even left this postcode. And no, she's like, the doctor's asking her, like, where do you guys live? And she recites the postcode, and he's like, Oh fuck, 8? Oh my, oh wow.
I put my parents' zip code. Fuck.
Oh,
I've got egg on my face. No, it'd be funny if he's like, oh man, this was all just a big misunderstanding. And you're like, but you're still going to jail for, kidnapping your girlfriend.
yeah.
Because they're still dead.
Wah, wah.
So by the way, wasn't she just? Now I have a couple questions about Stan. So his girlfriend was pregnant during that time, right?
Yeah.
And then when he's dead at the graveyard, his son is standing there, right? So it's been years.
No,
at this
that's
point.
his little brother.
His little brother. Does his girlfriend and child die?
He ties her up while she's pregnant in the back of the car.
Right.
And, there's no way for her to get out of the fucking car, so she's definitely dead. But in part 2, she says, the guy says, it's Marshall Mitchell. Bitch, I even have your initials. Because he's saying he's Stan's brother.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, fuck, okay, then that would have been the perfect next verse in the hospital when he goes, yeah, fuck, it's an 8, and they're like, your wife's dead. Whew. Okay, well, at least I won't have that awkward conversation,
But now you're extremely going to jail.
You're so going to jail, like hella hard,
Like, they're gonna lock you under the fucking jail.
A interviewer from GQ magazine caught up with Andre 3000, just kind of talked to him, and the interview is all on GQ.com. You could read it. It's going to be an upcoming issue, all that. But man, it is like such a glimpse at Andre's like midlife crisis, so to speak, of how both of his parents passed away within 6 months of each other. He's got a coke habit now. His kid's going off to college, and Andre's just at home trying to learn to play instruments, and that's just how his life is going now.
But he's like super rich, so like he doesn't have to worry about anything. It's just there's just nothing for him to do. Like reading the article, it really does feel like he feels like he has no purpose. It's weird. Like, and then like literally the first thing they start the article off with is, yo, if a bomb gets dropped, I have this,
He's basically a doomsday prepper. I'm surprised the interview didn't go into that more.
Yeah, like, it started off with that, and it was just like, well, anyway, let's talk about it. It's like, whoa, can we go back to this? Like, there's a whole other thing about, like, just, it's weird, like, Andre at the other side of fame. He's not, like, down and out, he's not poor, but it's just like, I don't really need to do anything anymore. You see the pictures, and like, underneath each fucking picture, they're saying, like, Berluti coat, $8,450. Like, Jesus Christ, why? Why the fuck does this coat cost so goddamn much? Just a fucking coat.
I think it was funny because at one point he says, like, I mean, I got money. I don't have, like, a bunch of cars, but, I buy a lot of stuff. Yeah. Like, I mean, at that point, what are you gonna buy? I
know.
If you're fucking if you're used to the money and you're used to buying expensive clothes, I guess you're gonna keep buying expensive clothes, or
it's like I'm already at this level where I buy these amount of clothes, so I can't like go backwards and just buy a just buy a like $20 shirt or some shit.
I think the way it goes isn't it like designers think you're a big name, and normally you don't even fucking buy the clothes; they fucking give it to you so you can be seen wearing it.
Oh, right. But then it's like, who's buying it? Because, like, the average person isn't going, wow, that's a cool $8,000 coat. I want to get, like, no. So it can only literally be impressive to, like, other rich kids who have parents, like, who have money, right? Like, that's literally who this is advertising.
But you saying that there's, like, this assumption that the only reason you would buy that is to impress somebody. What if, like, money isn't really a thing to you, and you just, like, that looks dope, and that's it? You're
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not advertising to you or me, the common person.
Right.
It's literally just advertising to, like, trust fund babies. Like, yo, do you want to get this? You gotta get this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, Catch Me Outside, Danielle, whatever, she's buying the $8,000, shit.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like it's the exact same thing with, like, drug dealers, man. Like it's all a big scam. Like, hey, you've got the money, buy this or whatever, and it's like, cool, I bought this one thing that has one purpose, and I'm probably not going to wear it that much, and because I don't have that much money, I'm probably not going to wear it all that much because I'm afraid it's going to get ruined. And then what? I'm going to buy another one to replace it? Like, now you're stuck in that fucking lifestyle. But to piggyback off Danielle, which is something I didn't even really think about, we've talked about this on the show before. Recently, we were talking about Lil Wayne and how he was like dealing with his addiction to lean pretty much, and we were wondering like how he got on that track or whatever, and we were talking about how hard and difficult it is for people who get into the industry at such a young age. I didn't realize that fucking Outkast were 17 when they started.
Yeah. And he had a quote and he said, they say if you're an entertainer, whatever time you took off, you stay that age. And he was like, I was 17. It's just like, holy shit. Holy fucking shit. They were goddamn 17. Like, they were also, like, in a way, child stars.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he says, so I was almost the same age as Soulja Boy when he started.
Yeah, all right, now that motherfucker don't got no excuse.
And Nas, think about Nas.
People always like, oh man, he young, don't hate on him because, you know, he's going to develop. It's like, no.
How young was Nas when he recorded most of Illmatic? Wasn't he like 17?
Yeah, I think LL Cool J, I think when he did his first CD, he was 17 as well.
I wonder if the expensive stuff is like, also because you mentioned like names that you don't recognize, right? I'm wondering if it's some sort of startup brands or friends, you know, because a lot of times when people have a lot of disposable income, they invest in dreams of people they believe in. So it's like, this upcoming like fashion designer in Nigeria who needs sort of like a boost. And so to basically, if you're someone like Andre 3K and you invest in their clothes, that's sort of a good look, and it's not much of a deal for you. And if you like the clothes, you like the clothes. So it's sort of like a win-win situation. So I wonder, for people like Andre 3K, I think would be more something like that than anything else. And it's who you support, because, you know, if you're supporting just like those big common names like Gucci and people who've been successful for decades and decades, that's one thing. But if you're supporting people from your block,
like the up and comer,
from your block or from your country or from like, you know, if you're of a disenfranchised folk and there's someone else who you know, you're coming up, you're a famous rapper and they're coming up and they're trying to make it in the world of fashion, you could help them out, you know?
I thought it was interesting because before we got started, you were talking about how you wanted to make a mixtape essentially of all the Andre guest verses and kind of rework them into like the Andre solo album we never got, you know? And that reminded me that there's a good chunk in the interview where something he's just doing now is making bootleg Anita Baker merch.
It was like, that has got to be the most random fucking, like, what?
Yeah, so this is a really weird thought process, but, you know, just follow it. So he saw that someone was selling Anita Baker merch, and Anita Baker was a musician that he got into, and he really dug it at a young age, and he was like, shit, yeah, now there's fucking Anita Baker merch. I need that shirt, and he bought it, and he said that it was like really cheap feeling, and it was clearly like a bootleg, and he was like, well, shit, if people are selling bootleg Anita Baker merch, I can make better bootleg Anita Baker merch, and what if when I do, I then pitch that merch to Anita Baker and then she could sell it as official merch. It's all for a person who is like a multi-platinum recording artist, Grammy Award winner, I'm sure. This is just like, what the what? Like this interviewer had so much restraint from not delving deeper into about the doomsday shelter. Like, so are you buying things from the InfoWars store? Like, are you getting your supplements? Like, to selling bootleg Anita Baker merch, hoping that she, like, what?
Do you think this may be a cry for help?
It's not the fact that he's wanting to help out an artist or whatever, because, like, yeah, I can understand that. I can get behind that. But it's the fact that it's Anita Baker. Like, nobody's talking about Anita Baker. It's like, hey, I tried to buy some Al B. Shore merch, and it wasn't up to snuff, so I'm gonna start selling Al B. Shore merch and see if he wants it. Like, why would they want it? And B, how much do you think they're actually gonna sell? Like, all of it's so weird.
He wants someone to notice so that they'll, like... Because, he was talking in the interview, it's like, people... pay attention to you, but they don't treat you like a human being. They treat you like, here is the commodity that is Andre 3000, instead of like, here's this person I'm just hanging out with, And also these shirts are like this shirt says, I need a baker. And it's just like, it just says it a whole bunch of times. Like, get it? I need a baker. I need a baker. And it's just like, what? The fuck? I don't... Like, this is such a strange thing. But yeah, I think this is just what happens, like, rich people who are just like... And he said something where he's like, nobody tells you no, or just like, just no one objects to you. Like, no one has a conversation where they conflict with your ideas. And then I saw the performance that he did of Hey Ya, because they were bringing it up. And it's like, it really is kind of crazy, man. Like, I was just watching it, and I was like, I just was transported back to my 10-year-old self again. Like, watching Andre just being, like, inspired by this manic creativity. And I think he says in the interview, where it's just, like, something about, like, they wanted me to go, so I just started going for the show, and I was just like, nothing was really rehearsed. I was just moving around a lot. And you watch the show, and it's just like, yeah, it really does look like nothing was rehearsed. Like, the mic doesn't really sound level. You know what I mean? Like, he just runs around, he drops the mic in a way that, like, looks like that wasn't supposed to happen, because you can hear, like, the thud of the microphone. And he's just, like, jumping around. It's like, what the fuck?
Dude, I'm watching this. There is no fucking way this performance would happen today with all this, like, Native American bullshit going on.
Oh, yeah!
Where it's like,
with the hey ya. I was like, no!
We've got a psychedelic teepee in the middle. It's like, oh, no. Oh, no, Andre. What did you get yourself into?
Well, I mean, Pharrell wasn't able to get away with it, so... Remember when he did the headdress? People was like, nah.
People weren't feeling it?
Yeah.
Oh my god, they're all doing the fucking hand over the mouth thing. Oh, this is bad.
I think Andre 3000 is weird enough where people just don't question it, though.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, it's not coming from an offensive place with him. He's just fucking weird like that.
Well, it might not have even been his idea either.
That's also true.
Something about Hey Ya that I was just thinking about. Even at a young age, when that song first came out, it struck me as sad. The, y'all don't want to hear me, you just want to dance.
That, dude, if that doesn't sound like a call for help in a small way, like, you guys don't care what I'm saying?
Even at the time when that song came out, I was like, God, how old was I? Yeah, so I was like 16, 17, and I was like the way he says it and how it's just like in the background, I'm like, man, that's like commentary on the entire genre right there.
Yeah, like it starts off, like when you first hear it, it kind of sounds like, you guys, you're just trying to have a good time. But on the other hand, it's just like, I seriously, like, am going through some things and no one cares. But, yeah, because then right after that, it's the fucking, what's cooler than being cool?
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, oh, yeah, real simple. And then, like, the verses are actually really dark, too. Like, if they say nothing is forever, what makes love the exception? Like, why are we in denial when we know we're not happy here? Like, this is actually really dark shit. And I think it's after that when he says, like, you guys aren't paying attention to what the fuck I'm talking about.
I think that's, yeah, because I don't even think I ever really thought about it that deeply. And so he makes a good point.
Yeah, and you know what's funny? It's interesting that line is there because, like you said, there have been songs that have been like, oh, it's sad, but it uses upbeat, music. Like, the lyrics are sad, but the music is upbeat. But I think that's the first time I ever heard a song where, like, he directly commented on the fact that you guys aren't paying attention.
I think he's going through some sort of like rough patch, or maybe he's just that's how he is, you know.
He like there's just a room full of instruments, and he's trying to learn them, but like he's not good at any of them.
But he doesn't want to tell people which one he's trying to learn.
Because everything you guys have mentioned so far just sounds mad defeatist. Like everything is finite and decrepit and useless, and how he's just not good enough at anything. That definitely sounds like something's going on.
Yeah, I think it's so weird because they were saying like, yeah, I need to learn an instrument, and people are like, well, like you're an amazing rapper, and he's like, but that doesn't count. Like, how does that not count? Why doesn't that count? To who? To you, or do you think to everyone else?
Gene Simmons.
Oh, only money counts to Gene Simmons.
And you know what's the funny thing? It's not like he's a bad rapper at all. Every time you hear a new verse from him, it's always good. So it's not like, it really does feel like he's like a savant. Like he's just like, it's boring to put out top-notch verses all the time. Like, what are you talking about? You know, like if he was bad at it, it would be like, all right, maybe you should stop. But he's actually really good, so it's like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, but you know, like you can be good and you can deliver something that people would be really happy with, but you sort of like do not feel that fulfillment.
Yeah.
Sort of like, man, like I know like what I put together sounds cool, but it just doesn't make me feel good walking away from it. Like there's something missing. Yeah, I mean whatever's going on, I hope he gets better, or you know, whatever. He's definitely a hero of mine, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, dude, I fucking love Andre, bro. Like I straight up, I like the way people go like, oh my god, you're the stereotypical, like you're a super fan of someone. Like I am that super fan of this guy, because it's like he was so weird, but it was cool. And like that is such a strange thing, because like, you know, like especially at the time, like now people can be weird and it's sort of okay, but like at the time it's like if you're a square, if you're talking about like weird shit, like you're not cool. But somehow this guy was on songs with fucking Lil Jon and fucking, you know, like all these people that you would consider to be cool. And he was talking about all this weird shit, but it was somehow okay. Like, that's kind of fascinating how he was able to carve out that niche.
To me, he was like just like any other, like at the time, dope ass underground rapper who just happened to blow up because him and Big Boy had this chemistry that was viable in terms of like, oh, a mainstream audience would eat this up, and then everybody who's actually listening to the lyrics would also enjoy it. So it was definitely like, I don't know, a success on across a number of levels. Because to me, they were like an underground rap crew, you know?
Mm-hmm. And the thing about Big Boy is that like people discount Big Boy, I think, a lot. I think what happens is, I think underground, like, people who are more like underground, people who are more like the gritty street shit or southern dirty rap, you know, like unfettered by like other, you know, like untouched by like the more esoteric angles. They just like straight up gangster rap shit. I think people gravitate more towards him in that respect, but like, you can't sleep on him either, because when you listen to his flows, he's actually doing a lot of shit.
No, he's great.
You know what I mean? Like,
he's great.
Yeah. He's working in a way that is just like a normal rapper who's not trying too hard would not be doing what he's doing.
I love Big Boy,
you know
and he had bars. Like, he had like lines that would be
really
memorable,
did.
yeah.
You know, I'm not trying to make assumptions or draw conclusions, but just as a sort of segue, talking earlier about, you know, not being up to your own personal standard, I was going to ask you about the EP, the B-sides. Mm-hmm. What makes a song a B-side in your opinion? Like, when you record songs, do you just record them when one comes to you and then it's like, I don't think that this is going to be on like a full thing, but I still like it enough to release it? Like,
yeah.
like what's the context there?
Yeah, I think usually it's like, I guess a song comes to me, or I have something to sort of put out there, and I'm like, I need to get rid of this emotion that's sort of building up within me. And sometimes it's sort of, I put it out and I just do, and then I kind of think of it in retrospect like, well, this is not going to end up on any album or tape that I'm working on in terms of like, oh, I'm really thinking it through, and this is the kind of a cohesive body of work, in terms of, themes or whatever. With B-sides, it's usually just I record music. I record a lot of music, and even with my B-sides tape, like with this one, there were definitely recurring themes, and that's just because I was recording it around the same time, so I was going through a lot of the same shit. And so it just happens to have this sort of like some recurring themes and such. But overall, I would say that's what sets it apart. Like with an album song, sometimes I'll have an idea and I'll be very like particular about it and take my time. Whereas with the B-sides, it's sort of like, I need to record this. I'm just going to do it. It might end up on my main tape. Might not. Probably not. I don't think I do enough music. I don't think I make enough music, but my output is kind of... I do actually record quite a lot, and I don't want to hoard it. I don't want to release a bunch of main tapes. So just calling things B-sides makes it seem like, oh, these are all throwaways, but I'm still putting them out there. Like, since Beneath the Toxic Jungle, I've dropped 5 B-sides. I consider my B-sides as sort of like a diary that I put out there to show my appreciation to all the people who enjoy my music. And it also makes me feel better. Like, once I put the B-sides out, I can think of my next, like, sort of creative adventure or whatever. Like, oh, now I can work on a tape. Because, like, when you have all these songs laying around, you don't know what to do with them. Like, maybe they'll go on my tape, and then maybe sometimes I just want to dump it and just start afresh, just clean everything up, and like, all right, new me, like let's go. So that's how I personally work.
Do you still like Beneath the Toxic Jungle?
Yeah, absolutely. I still think that's my best body of work because the significance that it has to me in terms of, I feel like that's when I really grew up. That's when I recorded that tape is when I realized what I wanted from my life, what I expected of myself. Up till then, I recorded a lot of music. I lived for many years and all that. But to me, I view Beneath the Toxic Jungle as a coming of age kind of tale of me sort of not necessarily overcoming depression and like being a happy human being forever and ever. It's more so like, all right, I've been through a lot of whack shit, a lot of dope shit, and I think I'm growing up. That's how it felt to me. That's why the dragon thing, like 1,000 years in the sea, 1,000 years in the mountain, dragon, that just meant like go through a lot of dumb shit, go through a lot of good shit, and grow up and sort of become the adult you, I suppose.
I really enjoyed that. I think that is one of my favorite albums that we've listened to on the show.
That's crazy. I appreciate that. Thank you.
In 130 episodes now. It'll be the 130th this week. Yeah, like it just I don't know if it was just because it was so out of nowhere. Like, it was just one of those weeks where we didn't know what to review, and I was like, shit, I'm just gonna go on Bandcamp and I'm just gonna pick something at random. And I just picked your album based on the cover art and listened to it and was like, whoa. Like, it was so, because I've done that shit before on Bandcamp and it hasn't worked out. Like, where I'll just go on there and try to pick something random and be like, but that was like I messaged Aaron so fast. I was like, shit, we need to do this. Like, this is fucking dope. We need to review this. And since then, like, seeing Needle Drop retweet you a while back, retweeting the album out, like, I get excited for that shit so much for you and Bill, you know?
Thank you.
Just, I'd hate to bring him into this if there's bad blood, I understand.
Yeah, fuck Bill.
But, you know, it's like, I can't help but, like, I know I'm not personally responsible for anything that comes your guys' ways.
Let me cut you off. I really appreciate what you guys have done for me. We do regular streams on Discord, Bill and I, and we've got like a few fans that tell me every time, as if I like, I think they think I don't remember this, but they always tell me that the two of y'all put him onto my music. You know, like a fan would be like, "Oh yeah, I'm a big Rap Critic and Muse fan, and now I'm a big fan of your music thanks to them." And I always and it happens quite a lot. And it happens, of course. There's people coming from Anthony Fantano. You've got people coming from Super Mega,
right? Yeah,
and Game Grumps, but. I really appreciate it because you guys didn't have to review it at all. You could have just skipped it, or you could have, so it's really cool. I feel very lucky that the art was dope enough to pique your interest. And it's exciting for me too, to see that sort of people pick up on it, especially when it's as random as like, you guys picked up on it like shortly after it had been released. Anthony found it on YouTube like 2 years later. I don't even know why. I know he's listened to my music before because someone at the Needle Drop reviewed my tape before that, and he tweeted my music. But it's always a pleasant surprise when it just happens out of nowhere, regardless of who shows me love, because I don't go out there actively sending emails out to people like, hey, listen to this, listen to my music.
Yeah.
I'm really bad at PRing. So whenever somebody finds my music, it's thanks to people like you. And it really means a lot to me because it encourages me when people come through and they're like, hey, your music makes me feel sane because everyone is so ironic in my school, and everything is ironic. Music is ironic. The perspectives are ironic. Everyone's joking around. Everything's a meme. Everything's temporary. So that when you have these real kind of just emotions where you contemplate like where you are in this world or whatever, right? And you start to feel weird because you think maybe I'm just very sensitive because no one's like that. And then I hear your music and it makes me feel like I'm all right. I'm okay. It makes me feel like I'm sane too, because I don't know if I'm too whiny or if I'm too self-centered. So if somebody else likes it, that kind of validates my efforts. So I appreciate it.
This week on the Going Off podcast, we are reviewing a Patreon requested album requested by Stuart Robertson. If you have an album you want reviewed on the show, it is as simple as pledging $40 to either patreon.com/rapcritic or patreon.com/muse. This week, we are reviewing Powerage by AC/DC, their release from, I think, 1978. Their fifth official release, their fourth international release. An album I myself had never heard. I had a phase in high school where I listened to them a little bit. I had a shirt. I had some of their CDs, but I skipped Powerage for whatever reason. I think it's because I didn't recognize any of the songs off of it.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed. I was like, I don't know any of these songs.
Yeah, it didn't spur any radio singles, any big hits.
The only song I knew was Gone Shootin' because it was on the Beavis and Butthead soundtrack.
Oh, huh.
For the movie? Yeah.
I'm really interested to see what you thought of this, because I don't know how exposed you are to the whole 70s proto-metal stuff. I hear more about, like, R&B, some rock stuff, but I never hear AC/DC come up in conversation. It's a lot like when we got that Aerosmith album reviewed. I was very curious what your take would be. What did you think of old Powerage?
You're asking the Rap Critic what he thinks of a 70s rock album. So your mileage may vary on how you value my opinion.
Right.
But I was fucking bored.
You were bored. Okay.
Yeah, I was listening to this album and it was just like, it felt like every song was like, it's that type of uncreativeness where it feels like I could swear I've heard a song like this before, but I think that's just because it sounds generic as fuck. like all these songs sound generic as fuck. Like they're just background music that you would use for a movie about rock and roll, in the 70s. Like they're all just like the perfect sort of like they fit the mold for the criteria of a rock. Everything is everything is just that.
Right.
And it's like nothing stuck out to me except for Gone Shootin', part of Sin City, and Kicked in the Teeth. Everything else was just like, this is all the same. Like, nothing sticks out at all. Like, the riffs aren't unique. Nothing really, like... It was only times when the guitar stopped playing or something else happened where it was like, oh, my brain is lighting up right now. Hey, here's something new. Everything else just felt like a sludge. Like, it was just, all right, yeah, we've already heard this song. Like, I couldn't even concentrate on, like, what the topics were. I'm usually the type of person who's like, oh, I want to know what the song's about. I was like, my brain like couldn't focus enough to really pay attention to what they were saying, and the thing is, like, I could swear this group was really interesting. Like, didn't they do Big Balls? Didn't they do what else did they do? TNT.
Yeah.
Fucking what was that one song? You shook me all night long. Isn't that them?
Yeah.
Yeah, and what was the other joint? Dirty Deeds, Thunder.
I thought that was gonna come up, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, where are the... Like, and I'm not saying I need to hear those songs, but, like, those songs are interesting to me. Like, where the fuck are those songs? Where are those types of songs that are just, like, they have riffs that mean something, they have lyrics that, like, pop out at you, Like, I didn't really get that here. It was relatively tame on a lot of these,
I feel you 100% on that, and it's interesting because all the songs you mentioned are on like the 3 previous albums.
Of course, people suggest the one album that has like no recognizable songs. They're like, "Fuck that! I want to hear what y'all have to say about this song that no one's fucking talking about."
It is funny because it is considered one of the most underrated because it doesn't get brought up much. And I read up a good bit on this because I was curious as to like the background and the history of it and all that. And while that didn't exactly influence my opinion on it, I just think it's interesting because at the time, people did look at their catalog of songs and like the ones you were talking about where like it was mostly like trying to kind of like glorifying violence and a lot about like drinking and doing all this shit and whatever, that people saw Powerage as being like AC/DC maturing because they weren't singing about that shit anymore. This is considered like a blues rock, almost like that early Aerosmith we talked about.
But I thought the Aerosmith was more interesting.
Yeah.
I thought there was more dynamicism, like, musically happening.
Yeah, I would agree.
The main thing I got from this is that Down Payment Blues I thought was interesting.
Down Payment Blues is an interesting song because it's talking about, I got all this rich shit, but I can't afford any of it. which is like an interesting concept, and it's like the dealing with fame. It's like the... I ride a Cadillac, but I can't afford the gasoline. Like all that shit. It's like, all right, he's enjoying the finer things in life, but he's stressing out because he knows that the fucking the rent man is going to be coming up behind him asking for the money, and he ain't going to have it. That's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. Yeah, I agree 100% that the songs, a lot of them, sound very the same.
Yeah, like, I understand, they're more mature, and maybe that looked good relatively at the time. Like, they said, everyone's singing about Satanism and da-da-da-da. But it's just like, it's interesting. Like, singing about having big balls and TNT and all that shit. It's like, it's interesting. And if you're going to be mature, that's okay. But it still needs to be able to get my attention. And actually, I'm looking at these reviews. Apparently, the reviews weren't even that great at the time. Like, Rolling Stones only gave it a 2.5 out of 5.
Oh, wow.
And AllMusic gave it a 3.5. Which
3.5.
Like, that's solid enough, But, I'm seeing that, like, people didn't really feel this one as much. And it's funny because I was thinking about, like, the first time I listened to it, and I didn't, nothing, caught on for me. I was thinking, like, should I look at reviews just to, like, see, like, what are other people thinking? Maybe I'm messed up. But then I was like, no, I shouldn't. let me wait until after I listen to it the second time. And after I listened to it the second time, I was like, yeah, I'm still not feeling this. And, I was expecting to look it up and be like, oh my God, it's the underrated classic. But it's like, no, reception is just around as lukewarm. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What I read was that it was pitched to the label, and they wanted a big hit single, and they didn't think the album had one. And
it doesn't.
And they quickly recorded Rock and Roll Damnation as an intro track to be the song that would be the leading single.
You know what? It really does come off that way.
Yeah.
It really does come off like, hey, wake up. We got something different. Remember that? Rock and Roll Damnation. And it's like, well, anyway,
I enjoyed it. I thought it was solid for what it was. For late 70s AC/DC. Would I listen to this typically? No. Was I 100% blown away by this? No. Some of the main takeaways, Give Me a Bullet, which, I will say the lyrics of these songs I really dug the lyrics. I think they're really well-written lyrics, especially for late 70s metal. Like, these are better lyrics than these songs deserve. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It could have just been, yelling nonsense, but he's actually saying some pretty cool shit. In the song, Give Me a Bullet, he's talking about how, he's dealing with heartbreak, and it hurts so bad that he's asking for a bullet to bite on.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I've never heard that concept before, but then, and I can't fault this song for it, I can only fault the future song for it. But did you notice that it sounds exactly like Highway to Hell?
Yes!
That
was one of the songs where I was like, hey.
And it's like, I can't fault this album for it because Highway to Hell isn't for another year. So it's like they took this song and they built upon it to make it Highway to Hell. So it's like, all right, I guess you could see. It's like Highway to Hell just has that and this was just like like it's missing every third chord.
Yeah.
It's like, it sounds like it's on the right thing, and even the lyrics are even sung like it has the same pacing, which is odd. Let me see. Gone Shootin' was a good one. I thought it picked up right at the end.
That was
Up to My
something
Neck
different.
and You and Kick in the Teeth. Those are fucking rockers. They were like really like that. That was like that. Like, again, kind of typical, but it's what they did. So if
you're a bad-hearted woman with a bad-hearted smile. Like, okay.
it's like they did this, so it's hard to criticize them for doing what they do. Because I was gonna say, this is like the last couple tracks are kind of stereotypical, like you said. Background music in a rock movie. It's very speeding down a fucking highway. Type of driving hard rock music, and it's it is typical, but then again, they kind of had a hand in kind of creating that. Not to say they were the originators of it. So it's like you can't call them rip-offs or whatever because they kind of were doing this first. But yeah, it's
It's okay.
It's all right. Yeah. It's passable. It's not my favorite. I don't regret having not bought it when I was younger. Because at the time I bought High Voltage, Dirty Deeds Done Dirt Cheap, and I think I bought Let There Be Rock because I really liked Bon Scott as a frontman over Brian Johnson, who came in starting with Back in Black. I didn't really care for him as much.
Even the album cover kind of looks like, not trying as hard.
That album cover blows.
Yeah, I know, because Powerage, I was thinking wait, isn't there another album that kind of has that sort of name? And I think it was the High Voltage. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh, yeah.
So High Voltage and then Powerage. Like, it just seems kind of derivative, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I think that's probably the best word. It's like derivative of themselves. Like, they're in a record contract. They gotta churn these albums out. And that's just like the creative juices are kind of starting to dry up. You know? I was reading that the song, the album was recorded at kind of a rough time. They were on tour with Black Sabbath, and they got kicked off the tour because of some violent misunderstanding with the members of the groups. And then they were supposed to tour the US, and that didn't go through. So there was a lot of shit going on. Things really weren't going their way. They had personnel changes. But that's just to kind of give you an insight on the background of the album. I won't let that interfere with my thoughts on it. You know, it's like I can't be like, hey, you know, they had a rough go of it, so I can, look past what this album was lacking in, originality or specific points of interest. But still, on its merits, I would still probably give it like a 3.75.
Yeah, I would just give it the 3.
3, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it isn't bad. I didn't think any of the songs were bad. I thought they were all really straightforward. I thought the lyrics on them were pretty good, were pretty fun. I like the goofiness of AC/DC, but I kind of appreciated that there wasn't that much on here. Like, I liked that the songs were kind of straightforward. So maybe that's why I might have rated it a little higher. But yeah, not in my top 3 AC/DC albums. And I think that probably goes for most people, except for members in the band, apparently. The members of the band put it as like high regard, as like no, like that's our best work. It's like, all right, if you say so.
Yeah, exactly. You say so, bro.
That's it for this week's episode of the Going Off podcast. Thank you very much to our special guest, Rav. He's got the new B-Sides EP on his Bandcamp. All that great stuff. Always great to have him on. We did the Patreon requested album review earlier. If there is an album that you want reviewed on the podcast, it is a one-time $40 pledge to patreon.com/rapcritic or patreon.com/muse. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And until next week, for the Going Off podcast, I'm Muse.
And I'm Rap Critic. And please put out an album, Outcast. Please, just something. All right. Okay, I'll stop.